performance, the whole thing was just incredible. Could you describe a little bit about how much rehearsal time?
Oh, I'm known for being a sweet, nice, hard-assed director. So, with the belief in the iceberg theory of theatrical production, that is, most of what you do is not seen by the audience. It's just the tip. And if you show a lot based on a little, it's going to be a triangle like that. The whole thing is going to collapse. If you're like a pyramid or an iceberg and you only show the tip, it's going to be solid. So we convened this particular group, the group of people that became the performance group, in November 1967. We met first at the Tompkins Square Community Center. No longer exists, but the building still exists on the east side of Tompkins Square. We met 2 or 3 times a week. But then in January or February, we obtained the Performing Garage, which was not a garage, but a small metal stamp factory. But when I saw it, it had 2 big garbage trucks parked in it, and I felt that Performing Garage was a much jazzier title than Performing Metal Stamping. Metal Stamping Factory. Although right now, I guess Metal Stamping Factory, because Andy Warhol was there, we could have had our factory, he could have had his, but anyway. Then we could rehearse all the time. And we rehearsed on an average of 5 to 6 hours a day, usually late afternoon into the evenings and all the weekends. And we rehearsed at least 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. And we rehearsed January, February, March, April, and May. So 5 months, 6 days a week, 6 or so hours a day. A lot of it was not about the play. A lot of it was basic training. Exercises that I learned from Jerzy Grotowski, whose first workshop in New York I took in October, November, at the same time as I was forming the performance group. Stuff that I brought with me from New Orleans, where I had headed the New Orleans group, and I had worked at the Free Southern Theater, and exercises that I knew from there. Some exercises I devised. Linda Gates is sitting in the back row there. You might want to ask her some questions. She did vocal training with the group. We also used some vocal techniques of Kristen Linklater, and there was an intensive vocal training, both voice and speech, the difference being voice being really the underlying, I could talk like this for an endless amount of time because I do diaphragmatic breathing. I have practiced yogic breathing. I practice the stuff that Linda taught. There's no constriction in my throat unless I want to have a constriction in my throat. So a lot of that training is very, very, very necessary, and it's the basis upon which things are built. And it also, since we began to work and did a lot of psychophysical interactions, they also led to intimacy. But then there's a guy named Larry Sacro, who later went into the theater, but at that time was running therapy at Daytop Village, which was a drug rehabilitation. And I was interested in confrontation psychology. In other words, get your anger out! You remind me of my father! So things like that. And so I asked Larry to come down and to run workshops with us like he did with the drug addicts who were recovering, which was a lot about removing repressions to expression, uncovering early memories, not in a Stanislavskian way, which is kind of in a certain sense passive, but really through active confrontation. With my belief also in Brecht's theories that the smallest social unit is 2, not 1. I think maybe we've moved away from that these days. So there was a lot of that kind of work, which meant that these people, the people in the group, we knew each other very, very well. We knew our fantasies, we knew our early life experiences, we knew what we thought about each other, which ranged from affection and love to hatred, from anger to joy. We knew each other on the sensual level, we knew each other on the social level, we hung out together. There's a lot of mutual knowledge that is seen in this film that you wouldn't know as such, but we knew the buttons to push for Bill Shepard, and Finley knew, these things. So there was training at the technical level, there was training at the vocal level, there was training at the physical level, there was training at the psychophysical level, and there was training at the social level all of that intensive. So I would say about 75% of the work is that basic training and 25% is mise-en-scène. And then in the mise-en-scène itself, that is what they're doing. There are a number of improvisations and textual constructions, and my job as the director, I'm always, I don't know how up you are with theater jargon, but a dramaturg is the person who puts the text together and is responsible for that. I'm always my own dramaturg, and I'm almost always my own designer. I'm not the executor of the design, but I say I want 2 towers, I want this, this, and this, I want carpets, I want rugs. So I have people to execute the designs, but I always describe the designs in quite some detail. I'm not shy about giving credit, but the fact is that the conception, I'm not interested in the designer's conception. So Jerry Rojo, not very interested, Jerry Rojo worked with me in New Orleans on a production, and I asked him to do this one, and Michael Kirby was my friend, and I said, the way I work in design, I said I want 2 opposing towers, the Towers of Thebes. So Kirby sketched out what the towers were like, I liked it, and Rojo technically made them so that they could sustain all this weight of people on top of them without toppling over, etc. And go, they're very brilliantly constructed with internal bracing, and they go from floor to ceiling. But so I took a lot of time to make the text out of what improvisations the actors did, and also from the Arrowsmith translation of the Bacchae by Euripides. But there's also a little fragment of Antigone that Pentheus says, and that little stand with me in a storm of spears and so on is something that Crayon says, where he's talking about you have to obey the law, and that Shepard brought in, and I accepted it as a little extra piece that wasn't in the Bacchae. I think you had a question there, yes? Was that, you already asked that?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And then
there appeared to be audience participation.
Oh, there certainly was.
The degree of actuality and the degree of theatrical, and if it was the same during the play not being filmed.
Yeah, there was
how long was the run?
There was no theatrical audience participation. All the audience participation was actual. We never planted anybody in the audience. We never said beforehand, do this. We never handed out cards. So it was chancy whether they would participate, but they always did. Just like the Rudes are doing this 40 years later, and people in Austin are jumping in there and nobody's telling them to. I mean, you have to be trained about what we're asking. It's not shy. It's like saying, holding out your hand and you know, come dance with me, or those kind of things. And so what do you want to know about that? How much in the film?
I was curious if during the play it was the same.
It's basically during the play was the same. It got a little hotter during the play because first of all, in the second night's filming, all the lights were on, and the kind of stuff we were doing is better to be done in dimmer light. Also, there's no doubt that the cameras were to some degree inhibiting on the audience, if not on the performers. I don't remember whether we must have gotten everybody in the room to sign releases. I can't believe we didn't.